back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Today, I am joined by somebody that has influenced my life probably more than they even know. I am joined by the first Jason to ever pop out of the lake, Ari Lehmen. Ari, how you doing today, man?
Ken, how you doing?
Dude,
Ken Sledgehammer, man. Wow, dude, it's an honor to be on your program. It really is, dude. I'm really happy to be here and talking to you and talking to all the people.
Dude, it's so
me,
awesome
Ari
to have
Lehmen,
you, man.
The first Jason Voorhees, the boy in the lake, the baby Jason, the OG. That's me.
And more than that, because like I said, everybody that knows me knows I am a big fan of the horror genre, and especially the Friday the 13th franchise. But not only that, as you all can see, I am a big fan of punk rock. And my friend Ari here is in a punk rock metal band called First Jason as well, which has also been a huge influence on me. And some of my really good friends are creating a fan film called My Special Boy. And Ari is also a cast member of that. So, man, this is so hardcore for me to be able to sit here and talk to you, man, because you're not only an influence on me in film. I grew up in a video store, man, and I can't tell you what you did to me as a kid watching you pop out of that lake. But to follow you in your music, man, like I said, I'm a big fan of First Jason. So there's so many ways
how we're able to make those connections because it kind of brings the real and the surreal together, if you will. It is kind of a wild experience, having been the first Jason. But the most amazing part of it is how wonderful the fans are. They're so dedicated. Jason Voorhees fans, Friday the 13th fans are so dedicated and so wonderful. And another facet is how open-minded and open-eared, I guess, the metal and punk community is, in that they gave me time to develop my sound as an artist. And now here we are. First Jason is on our 5th album, just yesterday completing 2 new songs, The Scapegoat and The Price of Peace. Just today, I freed up about half a minute of each of those songs so people could check them out. But we're going to have them up online, Ken. We're going to have them up on all the social media, all the music platforms like Spotify, Deezer, Apple Music. It'll be all up there before New Year's Day. So we're really stoked. Oh, those 2 songs, just to start with.
Well, I'm going to let you know, and everybody else that's watching this already knows, this will premiere after New Year's Day. So you guys aren't going to have to wait like I'm going to have to wait. You guys can go right down here in the description and click these links and check these out, man. And what's up is you guys are watching this. Yeah, you guys are watching this now, and you can just click that link down there and listen. I have to wait another 30 days before I get to hear this stuff, so it's going to be killing me.
Oh, no, I'm very, very proud of these 2 songs. As you know, most of the first Jason material directly dwells upon the role of Jason or the role of Mama Voorhees or the inner workings of the mind of Jason, whereas these songs kind of explore part of the demonic realm within a different sort of metaphor outside of Jason Voorhees and Friday the 13th. So The Scapegoat, of course, discusses that very topic, wherein there's 2 goats that are sacrificed to, and one of them is released to the demon Azazel. Which is fascinating. But if you want to hear more about that, it's in the song The Scapegoat. And then the other song is called The Price of Peace, which kind of talks about the times that we're dealing with right now. And Eddie Machete, our guitar player, was in there just yesterday, and he was just shredding it up, man. I can't wait for everybody to hear it. I'm very happy. And that's why we're just saying, to everybody, Happy New Year, Happy 2021. And just enjoy that music. I know a lot of bands are doing stuff on vinyl, and I'm going to do vinyl, and we'll get to the vinyl eventually, but let's just free up the music and let everybody enjoy the music, and we'll get to the vinyl, and we'll have some videos, of course, ready for that too. But everybody just enjoy.
Man, I could just sit here and listen to you talk about this shit for hours, bro. Like, this is so incredible, man. And something else that you and I both wanted to talk about, hardcore and punk music is absolutely amazing. Horror movies are absolutely amazing. But something else that's absolutely amazing is helping kids. And the Camp Crystal Lake tour is something that does exactly that. What can you tell us about the Camp Crystal Lake tour?
Wow, I'm glad you brought that up, Ken, because I see you got the Camp Crystal Lake hat and the Camp Crystal Lake shirt, and that is near and dear to my heart, man. And you see that sign that you got there on that hat, they have the actual original Camp Crystal Lake sign. So when you go to the Camp Crystal Lake tours in Hardwick, New Jersey, okay, you're going to stand next to that actual sign and do selfies. You're going to do selfie with yourself and whoever you brought with you, but also maybe I'll be there, or Adrian King, or Tom Savini, or any one of the other actors, maybe Ron Milkey, who played Officer Dorff. Any one of these wonderful people could be there. And then you've got the Boy Scouts, who do an amazing tour of the entire site. Okay, so they bring you to the shower. Okay, they bring you to the cabins. They bring you, of course, to the lake. You watch Friday the 13th on the lake side at dark, and they spotlight the canoe in the middle of the lake. No, it's absolutely incredible. And now they're doing nighttime tours. But as you say, all the fun and all the amazing times that you can have there, it all goes to a good cause, a great cause, because 1,000 kids every summer get to enjoy that summer camp under the supervision of the Boy Scouts and the entire team, because they get to go canoeing, they get to learn about, outdoor survival, they get to learn about, all that great stuff, how to build a fire and all that great stuff that you learn, and they get to be kids. And I'm talking about kids who are, handicapped kids, underprivileged kids, and just kids, and they just get out there. So not only, if you're a Friday the 13th fan, you're going to have so much fun, but it goes to a great cause. So definitely check out the Camp Crystal Lake tours. I was just there in August, in August of 2020. And, with all the crazy things going on. And I got there, and the first thing I did was I just jumped right in the lake. I just went right in the lake. Maybe you've seen, I do these ads where I'm like in the water coming up. That is in Camp Crystal Lake.
Oh, that's so sick.
Yeah. I actually went to, so they were so good to me, and they allowed me to do that. And you get in a canoe, and there's all kinds of crazy photo ops. And of course, you just get to tour the camp. They were doing a flashlight tour recently in the dark. So, I think that the thing
you said that this goes to a good cause, obviously helping the kids. Now, there's a lot of us that don't live close. Is there any way that we can donate to that without physically going there that you know of?
Yeah, definitely. Just check out Camp Crystal Lake tours online. You could just buy they have some amazing merchandise, and autographed merchandise, autographed by myself and everybody else. And yes. And we've seen the result of those contributions. They were able to build a beautiful, a meeting house, so that helps the whole procedure, and it's heated and all that good stuff.
Sure.
But the thing that occurred to me while I was there was just being in that environment and really absorbing it, the shape of that mountain and the way the lake is, and then just walking there, you realize that Camp Crystal Lake is really one of the stars, if not the star, of Friday the 13th. I really think that without that specific location, the film would have been an entirely different thing. So,
absolutely. And you guys are not going to have to search for this, because I also, down here in the description, have the Camp Crystal Lake tours link. So make sure you're going and helping out. Like I said, not only do you get awesome merchandise that's autographed by Ari and so many different other cast members, but you're helping kids.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, whether you're a horror fan, you're not a horror fan, you love Friday the 13th, you're not a big fan of it, nobody can say that they don't want to help out children. And if there's anything we can do, especially in the times that we're living in right now, to put a smile on a kid's face, get them out there. And like he said, something I've learned through the help that I've done with autistic children myself, not trying to pat the back or anything, but when it comes to autistic children and handicapped children, they learn so much more when it comes to peer-to-peer work with their peers than it does with teacher or parent. So when you get these kids out there with their peers, that never goes away. And that's an experience that these kids might not get without us. And it's something that will mean the world to them forever.
You think, what can you do? I've been blessed in that when I get to the table, many times, young kids who have all kinds of different, situations, they relate to little Jason, and they'll come up to the table with their mom. And, I just think it's such a blessing. And then I always thought to myself, can I come up with the exact right thing to say to be this kid's hero or whatnot? Mm-hmm. But then I realized, it dawned on me, it's not about that. It's just being there.
Yeah.
Just to be there for that kid, whether you're there, hey, in this time, maybe it's virtually or donation. I'm very blessed in that I actually get to be there. Yeah. Where I've said to kids, I remember one time we were in Oklahoma City and this little kid was at the table. And so, I was just talking to him. I didn't really notice anything different. So then I went to do the fist bump. I always do, give me a fist bump, and he gave me a fist bump. But then he said, this little kid, his little head at the edge of the table, would you prefer a hug, Mr. Lehmen? I said, what? And he said it again, would you prefer a hug? So I came out, I gave him a big hug, and his mom told me, you know what? He's a cancer survivor. Oh. And then I looked and I saw the kid was bald. He had a shirt that said basically like, hey, I'm a cancer survivor. But I wasn't paying attention. I just thought, hey,
you know what? The thing is, he notices that. He notices that you're looking him in the eyes and you're not looking at his shirt. You know what I mean? So for him to ask you, hey, do you prefer a hug, is his way of saying, I appreciate you noticing me.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. And that's what it is. I know in this time it's tough because we can't always be there. But, there's other ways in which we can do that. And now, okay, we can do it outdoors. And I was just reading these articles which says, okay, if things are done outdoors, it's much safer. And so I'm all about that. Let's just do shows outdoors and let's just go to Camp Crystal Lake.
Let's do it.
And meet outdoors. Jason loves the big outdoors.
Well, man, and again, I can't tell you what this means to me. We've talked about your future a little bit, what you have coming up with My Special Boy. We've talked about the present and what you've been up to with the band. But now I want to take it back to the past, my friend. And I want to go back to the first horror movie that you ever watched, Ari. And your first horror movie was?
The Mummy. That was my favorite. Oh, man. There it is. Yes, indeed. Yeah, I have that collection. That's a great collection.
It absolutely is, man. I think this is a must-have for any horror fan.
Oh no, true. There's so many good ones in there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you can have so much fun. That's hours of fun. No, well, that was just I was just a kid, and I just it was one of those things. I just turned on the TV late night. I think it was like WPIX, movie of the night. And I was just like, what is it? But I was just captivated. I think my dad was there. And I remember when, the whole thing was the older doctor says, whatever you do, don't touch what's in this box. As a kid, I was captivated by that. I mean, the rest of the film, I think is amazing because it's Karloff, but also some of it was actually filmed in Egypt, in Cairo. The whole idea is, here is a person from beyond the grave.
Yeah.
And he basically manages to seduce this woman, and she's almost willing to die for him in order to join him in the afterlife. It's a heavy concept. I don't know if I got all that as a kid, but later on, I grew to appreciate it.
Well, and to me, Universal Monsters,
Egyptian mysticism and everything.
Well, for me, like the Universal Monsters in general, You know, like that's like I to me the Universal monsters will always be Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, Leatherface, Chucky. Like those are my Universal monsters. But you wouldn't have those if you didn't have these guys. If you didn't have Dracula, Wolfman, Creature of the Black Lagoon, the Invisible Man. If you didn't have these, you don't have the horror that we have today. That's how influential Phantom of the Opera. All that is so
Oh
big,
yeah,
and the
Lon Chaney is
influence.
another favorite of mine. Lon Chaney is
Lon Chaney.
fantastic. I love Lon Chaney's work, and yeah, of course, Lon Chaney being one of the original pioneers of special effects makeup.
Yeah.
And then Lon Chaney actually passing on to Dick Smith. Dick Smith actually taught Tom Savini. So you have a direct lineage, you know.
It's
From that
amazing how
house.
horror connects like that.
Yeah. Well,
You know.
it's incredible because, you know, when you look at those people who pioneered those techniques, it was few and far between at first because, you know, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't seen as an actual art form in itself until, of course, later on. You know, I love all those first films, and then I love producers like Val Lewton. I just watched I Walked with a Zombie, for instance, which is a great zombie film. Or if you're looking for some cool horror films to watch that relate to Friday the 13th, there's the great Dementia 13, which was Francis Ford Coppola's first hit, if you will. Dementia 13, which talks about an old lady who commemorates the death of her daughter by drowning every year on the same day, except it's a lot like Friday the 13th. It takes place on the grounds of a wealthy mansion. So it has certain elements of kind of almost, you know, all that intrigue. And I tend to think that Victor Miller, who himself was a soap opera writer, that a movie like Dementia 13 might have appealed to him. There's so many scenes in Dementia 13. Dementia 13 opens with two people in a rowboat on a lake. And, you know, one of them dies. And, you know, anyway, but it's really a great film. And there's this amazing scene in the lake where this, you know, this one young lady gets it. But yeah, it's definitely very there's a lot of relation there between Dementia 13 and Friday the 13th. But I got a million of them. There's so many great horror movies that you can watch, and you know, a lot of them are just on YouTube for a couple bucks, or you could just rent them, or you know, or like you have the DVDs there. That's an amazing way to watch them.
I'm a huge fan of physical media. I'm one of the guys that whether it's albums, even scores, like I have the Creep Show 2 vinyl. I've always been a big fan of collecting physical media. As I told you at the beginning, I was raised in a video store. My parents owned a video store. So growing up, wow. I was surrounded by VHSs, and physical media has always been something that I've preferred. So even to this day, when I help out,
probably when digital media came out, the video store people were a bit like, no, come on, that'll never be the same. And ultimately it's not, you know, as when you have, you know, the item. Now, of course, if it's autographed or something, but if it's not, I mean, there's the whole idea that, you know, I don't know. I love to just set up my DVD player and watch DVDs. That's how I watched Dementia 13, and how we just watched the movie I Walked with a Zombie, Val Lewton film. If you ever get to watch that one, I Walked with a Zombie, a great film. There's just, you know, there's some great films out there, and yeah, I prefer watching on DVD when I can.
And I'm a extras and commentary nerd. I like to watch with commentary to learn the things that I don't know. I like to watch the deleted scenes. I like to watch the making of, the behind the scenes. This is all stuff that's always intrigued me. It's always been super interesting to watch people get into character, or even to watch outtakes and bloopers and watch people break character on set. I've always thought that was really entertaining.
No, you're right. Actually, if you really are a fan and you really want to get the maximum insight, I would say that going for those recent DVDs where they have some beautifully produced commentaries, and I know some of the people who produce those too, and they put a lot of effort. They put hundreds of hours into making it an enhancement of the film, and just to make it all more fun. I mean,
Sure.
But then, of
And
course, the most fun thing is just dive in and watch the movie and have your own opinion. You know what I'm saying?
and learn a
You
thing or
might
two.
not agree with what they say. You might say, "Oh yeah, BS," but still, you know what I'm saying? You can
Oh,
see one of
absolutely.
those. That was just terrible. They'll go on and on. And on the other hand, sometimes you'll see a movie and you'll love it, and critics think it's terrible. But you know what it is? It's about what you enjoy.
Absolutely. And it's funny you say that, because a lot of the movies that I'm as of right now, especially, I'm a much bigger fan of the fan made films right now. I think that when you're making a fan film, you're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
You're not doing it to try to make bank. And again, something I'll never talk about. I was lucky, and I consider this a blessing. I was lucky enough to have this same conversation on this podcast with Victor Miller, and to be able to
Wow.
talk to him about these things. And the only thing he ever asked of me is, please don't talk about the lawsuit. So I told him, and I gave him my word, I'll never
Okay.
talk about that lawsuit. It's something I'll never do out of respect for that man.
That's
But a lot of the
boring.
studios nowadays, they are doing those films for money. That's what it's about. But these fan films are doing it because they
Sure.
love the franchise and they love the characters and they want to entertain us. They're not making money on doing this. All their Indiegogo support goes to paying actors and, getting sets and all that, creating the
Oh,
film
it's
for
all
us.
about love. I agree. And which one did you see? One that you felt really stood out that you really loved as far as a fan film? I mean, just
Well, I mean, honestly, I've
just to
seen
turn the
two Friday
tables
the
on you.
13th fan films. No, the two Friday the 13th fan films that I think are my favorite are the Never Hike series. I love Never Hike Alone and Never Hike in the Snow. I think both of those are good. And also
Okay,
Vengeance.
that was the
Um,
first, man. Those guys were way ahead of the
yeah.
pack.
And then
Yeah.
have you seen Vengeance, F-13 Vengeance on YouTube yet?
Yes. Yep. Sure. Yeah, I thought
And
that
then
was good too. I
you got
thought that was a
Vengeance
good.
2 coming out. You got Roseblood coming out, which continues off of Friday the 13th, Part 7. And they actually got Lar Park Lincoln
Oh,
back to
okay. Oh,
reprise her
okay.
role.
See, that's a good idea. Oh, who's in that?
Lar Park Lincoln. She was
Oh,
actually
okay.
in, yeah,
Very
she's
good.
reprising her role in this film. And
Well,
obviously
I
My Special
always
Boy, something
liked
I'm very excited
that.
about.
You know, I always liked Part 7.
Mhm.
John Beekler, as a director, I felt did a great job. Of course, the introduction of the notorious Kane Hodder,
Kane Otter,
and
baby.
which is fantastic. Other actors' efforts equally loved, but Kane's also. And then, Psychic Tina, that whole idea of Psychic Tina, and then the doctor, of course, who's the guy from, isn't he the guy from the dead guy from Weekend at Bernie's? Isn't that him?
Oh my
I
gosh,
think
I think I've never made that connection before.
that is the psychologist. And
And he's a
yeah,
total douche in that movie, man.
yeah, no, he's a mean. Oh, you hate him. You love to hate him.
Oh,
No,
it's
he's great. He's
so,
horrible.
yeah.
You hate him. He's
And
the worst. No,
I'm
he's
really
great.
excited to see them
He's a
bring
really
Tina
nice
back to see
person.
where her story goes.
I agree. But no, that actor is a very, very nice person. I have to tell everybody he's a very, very nice person. And it always
Well,
takes a
that's
nice
when you know that
person
your
to
acting chops are on point, man. When you can make
make.
someone hate you in a film, you've done your job.
It's weird. It always seems like the nastiest character actors are the nicest people. It's strange. But no, I just like that whole idea of psychic Tina versus, physical Jason. And I
Yeah.
love that scene where she's throwing the farm implements at him psychically, and he turns around and he's like, "You bitch!" And then the mask comes off his face, and
Yep.
then he makes the roof go on fire. I mean, that's spectacular. If that's not one of the best scenes, I mean, I just
Yeah.
love that. I always thought that scene was brilliant. I don't see any. I mean, people say this and that, this, that, but you can't take it away from that moment. I like
No.
that idea of there being a foil, as we say in theater, to Jason, in the sense that Jason being just the physical brute force, but still it seemed like Tina had some pity for him because
Yeah.
he does evoke pity. I
I
felt
always
like
laugh how she headbutts him with the decapitated head. That's something that always made me laugh every time I watch that scene, man.
that was both chilling and comedy at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, which is hard to do. I mean, John Buechler, man. I mean, John Buechler being a special effects artist, um, he had so much that he thought out in terms of all of that. I mean, that's not taking it away. I just felt like that was a great foil for Jason.
Mhm.
I know you have the
Tommy Jarvis.
Tommy Jarvis. I was thinking of the actor Tom Matthews, who I think did a great job playing Tommy Jarvis. By the way, I
Yeah.
felt, and I do feel all of them did, including Corey.
Mhm.
But I do feel that the way that they posited that young Corey, Tommy Jarvis versus Jason at that final scene, I felt was very clumsy. I didn't personally, I'm sure fans will disagree with me, but I'll go out and say that, there's certain moments where I feel they could have done better. In part two, I felt there were some clumsy moments. In part three, I felt they nailed it. I felt Richard Brooker in part three really started to embody the Jason that is just absolutely chilling to the bone, just like he just kills and walks away with no remorse. He's great. I love it. And but there's moments in part two that work. But then, when you get to Kane's version, he's kind of trying to bring together many of those different interpretations. I want to go on the record as saying I think all the Jasons did a great job.
Especially that first guy. He was awesome.
Oh yeah. Well, I got to do my whole job in the water, so
Right, man. So we talked about The Mummy being your first horror movie. Now I want to go scream on you here for a second. What's your favorite scary movie? What is your favorite horror movie?
my favorite. I have so many that I love. Oh my gosh. I mean, man. Oh, it's so hard to choose. It's so hard to choose. I mean, if I was to pick, I think if you were to look at recent movies, there's a film that was made around the same time as Friday the 13th called The Thing. And how many people are fans of The Thing as being, what I see as kind of going to a very deep and scary place, like where science that we trust has kind of seemingly no answers, and the body, the shape shifting, and all that. But then again, if you want to go for an earlier film, there's a film that I just love that stars Robert Mitchum, okay? That's called Night of the Hunter. Night of the Hunter, I feel in many ways embodies the beginning of the American horror film. Although it was directed by Charles Laughton, the only film that Charles Laughton directed, a British director. But Night of the Hunter, okay, if you haven't gotten a chance to see it, that's where you have this. Robert Mitchum plays an itinerant priest who is going across the country killing wealthy widows by deceiving them and marrying them. And so he's a serial killer. But it's a departure from the kind of gothic horror films of Europe, where we have, up on the hill, there's this castle, and the peasants come and storm the castle, whether it's Dracula or vampire or this or that. Or the witches are back at it. No, this is a totally different thing where it's the wolf in sheep's clothing. And if you remember this thing that you see in many films, include, what is the Robert De Niro film? Oh my gosh, where he plays the crazy assassin.
Not Taxi Driver.
Taxi Driver. In Taxi Driver, he has the words love and hate tattooed on his knuckle. That comes from Night of the Hunter. In Night of the Hunter, Robert Mitchum's character, Reverend Harry Powell, has love and hate tattooed on his knuckles, and he says that's how he wins over the people. It was a battle between love and hate, and who was gonna win? It looked like hate was coming down, but then old love won. So he wins over these, and he's always singing these church hymns. Lean in, leaning on the everlasting arms. So it's this wonderful, and I think that Jason has a little of this too, in the sense that it's an evil character, but he doesn't mean to be evil. Within, he thinks he's doing the right thing. Jason thinks he's doing the right thing for Mama. Mama thought she was doing the right thing, and Reverend Harry Powell thinks he's doing the right thing. It's a little more complicated, of course, in Night of the Hunter, but I just think that's where it makes that departure. It's an evil character who doesn't necessarily consider themselves evil. They're not, I am wicked and I embrace my wickedness. No, this is a different thing.
This is God. Well, man, we always do end these, my friend, with the same question. I always end these with a skull count. We're going back to The Mummy. We're ranking it on overall production and how it affected you. 0 skulls being the worst, 5 skulls being the best. You can use half and quarter skulls. What would your ranking be of The Mummy?
The Mummy gets like 13 skulls. What are you talking about?
What a great number.
Just that scene where he's like saying the Egyptian words, the actual Egyptian words, Ankhsenamen, Ankhsenamen, in that amazing voice that he has. What is that accent? What is Boris Karloff's accent? Where is he from? Where did he come up with that voice? That strange voice. And that always stayed in our minds as the horror way of talking. Do you know what I'm saying? Even when they did the Monster Mash, right?
That's what I'm saying. That's one of those voices that you still hear to this day that people mimic when it comes to horror. You always go to that. That's one of the things that you always go back to.
So there you go. And so there you go. Maybe that's one of the reasons. Just the way he spoke was so just chilling, and I wanted to be him. I wanted to be Ardeth Bay with his amazing, just seduce women friend.
Oh yeah, we all want that. Well, hey, don't go anywhere, my friend. I got a couple more questions for you. Everybody else, thank you for joining us. Make sure you're clicking the links down here. Checking out First Jason's new material. I'll have that down here in the description. As always, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.